In 1905, the first intercollegiate soccer game ever was played between Haverford College and Harvard University. Haverford won that historic game 1-0. 17 years later, the sport reached the Purple Valley. In 1922, the Williams College Eves embarked on their first ever soccer season, coached by William Treguard and captained by Wallace Whitcomb. That team did not manage to win a single game, and was outscored 21-3. Especially painful was the 5-0 loss to the defectors of Amherst College. However, improvements were made quickly, and the team managed to win 2 of its 7 games the following season under new coach Ralph Leonard. These improvements were short-lived. Coach Ed Bullock took the helm of the Eve men, and in 1925, Williams suffered an embarrassing 12-0 defeat at the hands of Princeton. The team did not fare any better, losing both Little 3 games to Wesleyan and Amherst. Things did not pick up for the Eves until 1928, when they had their first winning season and managed to beat Amherst. 1929 was even more promising. The Williams Booters finished with a record of 4-1-1. They beat Wesleyan, and their captain, J.C. Bright, became the first Williams player ever to be named All-American. The Eves finished the 20s with a combined record of 15, 22, and 5. The 30s started off with the Eves winning a share of the Little 3 crown for the first time ever, after beating Wesleyan 3-1. Amherst continued to own the Eves, however. In 1931, Williams managed a 2-2 tie against the Jeffs that marked the highlight in an otherwise disappointing season. 1932 was the first ever undefeated season for the Eves, as they managed to win 4 games and tied 2. The Little 3 title was split among the 3 teams. It was not until 1937 that the Eves would win their first ever undisputed Little 3 championship, after beating the Wesleyan Cardinals 4-2 and the Amherst Lord Jeffs 2-1. The Eves showed significant improvement in the 1930s and closed off the decade with a combined record of 32, 21, and 10. Williams started the 1940s with a record of 3-3-1. That year, the school yearbook read, "Coach Ed Bullock will have strong materials to try for the 1941 Little 3 championship, provided the draft doesn't hamstring his efforts." The war resulted in soccer being suspended at Williams from 1942 to 1946. During those years, Williams had to cope with the loss of most of its student body, its staff and professors, and even its president, James Baxter III. With the return of peace came the return of the faculty, staff, Baxter, and the students who had put their education on hold. To further the revival of sports and other campus activities, the record called on each student to assume his individual responsibility and take it upon himself to spend a portion of his time in pursuing some extracurricular activity. Although the war interrupted the upward rise of the Williams soccer program, when play resumed in the late 40s, the boys from Williams were suddenly regarded as one of the best teams in New England. On any given season, the boys in purple could beat any of the Ivy League schools, or eventual powerhouses like the University of Connecticut and the University of Massachusetts. In 1950, Coach Clarence Chaffee took the helm and guided the soccer boys to a 4-3 record. One of the players from the team, Clyde Buck, had this to say: "Coach Chaffee was a good guy, but not an expert on soccer. We did well because of good players." In 1951, the Williams boys won winless for the first time since the inaugural season of 1922. The roller coaster 50s continued when in 1954, the Eves won 6-2 to claim the first undisputed Little 3 title since 1937. In the middle of a subpar season in 57, the Eves managed to beat the 1956 NCAA champion Trinity College. It became clear then that if the boys clicked, they could beat anybody in the country. And in 1959, the soccer boys clicked.